all this data which is getting stored, when there is so much data which is getting stored, now the question is, where does this business or where does the company put all this data? They need some hard disk, right? Hard disk, or they need some hardware, rather, let me put it this way. So all the data needs to be stored somewhere. It cannot be something which you put in a CD-ROM or something. You need a solid hardware where the data can be put, right? So what are the options that the company has? Let's say we are running a business and we are 4 or 5 people, whoever in the company, and now we have started getting customers, their information and all. Where would you put all that data? Will you put that in the hard disk of a laptop? You can do that, but the problem will be that if you put the data on my laptop, then how will you see that data? Let's say I am one part of the company, Bhavin is there, we have Mihir, we have Amitabh, all those people who have joined and joined us, right? Sukanya, Santosh, everyone is there in that company. We all work as a team. Now if I put the data on my laptop, how will Santosh get to see the data? Now Santosh will say, hey, please give me that pen drive, or through pen drive please pass on the data to me, right? So that way it cannot work. So in the hard disk, if we keep, we'll have to keep different copies in everyone's hard disk, so that is not a right solution. So the right solution will be to keep it in a centralized manner. What is centralized manner? Put it in a common hard drive, right? What is a common hard drive? A database server. What is a database server? For you to understand database server in a very simple language, you just need to understand that a database server is basically, what do you call it? Think of it as, call it a common hard disk or a big hard disk which is connected to multiple computers through some network. Okay. So that network can be LAN, and that network can be local. That can be a local area network, or that can be internet or wide area network, whatever we call it, right? So database server is basically a big hard disk which can be connected to multiple computers. Now, what is the advantage of putting the data in database server? That it is completely centralized. Okay, one single server holds the data. All the information is updated on the server, and anyone who logs in from any place gets to see the updated information, right? You are avoiding redundancy of the data also. You don't need to store multiple copies. That is one thing. You can secure the data because it is at a centralized place, right? So these are the advantages of database server. Now the point that comes in mind is, where do you put this database server? Okay. So let us go step by step. Let us understand this, that you started a business, you have your customers' information. You started thinking, where do I put the customer information, and all that information related to customer, all the data related to customer. You started thinking, where shall I put all this information? What do you have to do? You have now two options. Either you buy a database server of your own, install it in your company, or you get some server space on rent, right? I mean, if you go to a new city and you want to stay there, you have just two options, right? Either build your own house or get some house on rent. So here also, your data needs a house to stay. Either you build a house for your database server in your company, or you hire some space, take some space on rent where your data can actually relax or sit, right? So when I'm talking about taking some space on rent, that means the database server which is on cloud. And when I'm talking about building a server, that is a database server which is on premise. On premise means building a server of your own in your office premise. On cloud means something which is globally accessible. Okay. So before I get a little more into this server wala side, I will just talk about cloud computing a little. So I just want one of you, maybe let's have Mihir talk about it. Mihir, what is cloud computing? What is your understanding about cloud computing?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Please go ahead.
It is basically, I think, as you are saying that cloud we are having a centralized system, and we are having a centralized access to that. I mean, basically it's a server, you know.
Yes. Okay, thank you. So as Mihir said, it's a server. Okay. No, it is not a server. So that concept is wrong. Okay. A lot of us actually feel that cloud computing is a server or cloud computing is a technology. Some of them start feeling that cloud computing and Salesforce are the same thing. So let me just nullify all these whatever myth we have. Let us understand cloud computing. Cloud computing is just a concept. It is not a technology. It is not a hardware. It's not a software. Nothing. It is a concept. What concept? This concept is a cloud computing is a computing concept where multiple computers can be connected together. When I say multiple, I mean huge number of computers can be connected together through a common network, which is called internet. Okay. And what is the advantage of connecting so many computers together through internet? The advantage is to use the shared resources. Okay. So when I say shared resource, I mean something like common hard disk, like we are just talking about, right? So that hard disk is not cloud computing, or that server is not cloud computing. The concept of connecting these multiple computers through internet to be able to use the common resources. It can be server, it can be software, it can be anything. That concept is called cloud computing. Okay. So this shared resource concept is something that we have been using for I don't know how many thousand years, right? When you have to go from one city to other city, you do not do you buy an aeroplane or do you just book a flight? Just book a flight, right? So when you have to go and watch a movie, you don't build a complete theater of your own. You just go and buy a ticket. So these are all shared resources which we use, right? So this concept was not applicable on computing. In last 10 years, this concept has come into computing also, where companies have that option of not building their infrastructure on the computing side, and they can hire some infrastructure, right? So software as a service and hardware as a service that we keep on hearing. It is just that instead of buying your own software or building your own software, you can take the software on rent. Simple concept. Cloud computing is all about shared resources and renting the services. It can be hardware, it can be software, whatever it is, right? So that is about our cloud computing thing. Okay, clear on that? Okay. So now, since we have talked about cloud computing here, now going back to that CRM thing, okay, CRM database server thing. So whenever a company requires to store data, they have two options. Earlier they just had one option. You want to store data, you have one option available that, okay, build your own server. Some of the companies you might have seen a server room, right? It is a pretty much protected room. So what is inside that room? There is a big hard disk inside that room which holds all the data. Now data is very precious for a company. For that reason they keep it very secure. They do not allow anyone to go inside it. So that is the thing. So you have one option, either you build that kind of a setup in your company, spend money, hire people to look after that. The other option that is available to people is go to a service provider who provides space on cloud. Now the next question that comes to mind is, how can I put my data on cloud? How can my data go into cloud? It's very simple. I will give you one or two simple examples of on cloud server that we use in our personal life, and you will understand things. A big example of an on cloud server is Facebook. I think all of you use Facebook, right? LinkedIn, we all use LinkedIn. Have you ever thought that whatever status update and whatever we call the photographs, images, videos, whatever you putting on Facebook, where does it all go?